Hi, my name's Steve. Welcome to another Mindbomb Training video. Today, I'm really pleased to share something new with you. I've got a new friend and collaborator on the channel. Jo Booth is a social media marketing expert, MD of her own agency, SMMS, and expert on all things social, obviously dealing with quite a number of high-profile clients. So, hi Jo, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm loving your backdrop. It looks a lot more organized than mine. I'm currently in my kitchen working from home, so you've got a nice plain white wall. But
you have to go shopping on eBay for this lot. That's what you do.
Definitely. You look very well read with that background.
Yeah, fool everyone.
It's excellent. I like it.
Okay, so today I wanted to build on the initial marketing plan that I'd actually drawn up and basically outline the digital marketing idea within the earlier video. So if we take a look at what's most important for the small business owners and really try and demystify what people mean about digital marketing, perhaps the first step, we should put it into context really and think about the way that people still use marketing to drive sales so that we can actually deliver everything digitally instead of in the traditional medium. So instead of the press or radio advertising, it's all about the social media channels, or equally it's about the email shot instead of the mail shot. So really the whole shift about digital covers the wide range of everything, and obviously including social media. It's the big part of it. But in addition to social media, you've got to really think about the things like the traditional website development, and obviously things like search engine optimization for the website, making sure that people can actually find you properly, make sure that you've actually got the black arts of SEO covered.
It's quite funny actually. I find a lot of small businesses, particularly when they start out, maybe if they've traditionally used print advertising or sort of what I would deem to be sort of more old school traditional advertising, there's a real hesitancy and reluctancy around digital, and I think there's a massive misconception about what that means. So I get it all the time, especially with social media. People say to me things like, oh, I don't do Facebook, or I don't like Facebook, I don't like seeing people's dinners on my feed.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, that's absolutely fine. So you're not a user of social media, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using it as a platform to promote yourself. It's just a marketing tool. And I think we need to start talking about social and digital as just tools, as opposed to these sort of, you know, scary spaces that are outside of somebody's comfort zone. It's like, actually, if you break it down to bite-sized pieces, it's all the same stuff. It's just on different platforms. So just think of it as tools instead.
Exactly. It's the way that I tend to try and think in terms of delivering to where people are. Exactly. If you actually target where your customer is at the right time, then that's got to be the key thing. Well,
if we go back in time, you know, people used to listen to radio before television. Then television came along, and it's not saying that radio has fully been replaced by TV, because it's still around. We still listen to radio, and people still advertise on radio. But they then had to adopt a TV advertising campaign, and then as TV developed and grew, and then there was cinema, and then there was, you know, or whatever, then print, and then this, and then that, and you sort of follow on. And I think people forget that each thing is a new technology of its time, and we're just happy to be in the time where people have got tech and digital marketing in the palm of their hand 24/7, and it's just a way of reaching them. There's nothing particularly special about it, to be honest. It's just about saying, this is where my audience are, and this is what I want to say to them on that space.
And if you can, at the right time, at the right cost, then it's just another way of delivering the message.
Exactly, and actually the beautiful thing about most digital is you can do a lot of it for low cost or free. So it's funnier.
Yeah, it gives you the opportunity. So, okay, then let's talk about the social media marketing. Obviously, that's your speciality. And can I ask you to explain something about the way that perhaps you would structure social media in terms of the platforms and advertisers and so on?
Sure. So just to fill you in, so our business is primarily television and film. That's what we promote on social media, but purely because I sort of got into that industry and found I really enjoyed doing that type of social media. And the more we did of it, the more clients came on board of the same nature. So we've sort of niched ourselves into that. But previously I did social media for lots of different types of businesses, from one-man bands up to, you know, sort of small to medium enterprises, anything from photography through to, we've done farming, we've done, literally I've got it, you name it, I've probably covered it in some shape or form or another. And the thing is, a lot of people say to me, you know, oh yeah, it's all right for you, you're promoting TV, that's easy. And you know what, to a degree, there is a level of that. Like, it's a lot easier sell to say to someone, hey, here's something that doesn't cost you it doesn't cost you anything to watch our program. You may enjoy it, and it features somebody that you know, quite frankly, most people fancy. So it's not the hardest sell, I get that. But in terms of reaching audiences, the process is exactly the same. We start from zero, and we have to climb our way up the feeds. We have to spend time working on our communities and building those platforms.
Yes.
And I think the thing with social is, well, a few things. One, don't overface yourself. So a lot of people go, oh my God, I've got to start a social media campaign. So I need an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter,
everywhere.
And actually, you cannot be good at all of those things. Nobody can. I'm not good at all of those things, right? And it's my job. So don't overface yourself by thinking, right, I must, you know, be across all platforms to reach as many people as possible. If you do a mediocre job, which you will if you spread yourself too thinly, because let's face it as well, this isn't everybody's full-time job. You know, you've got other things you need to be doing in the day, not just the social media. So if you're spreading yourself too thinly, you're going to be doing a mediocre job. And that means that you're not going to reach as many people. So in the long run, you're actually hindering yourself. And that's a really hard thing for people to get their brains around. It's like, no, but if I post on more platforms with millions of people, the more chance I have of getting seen. It's like, actually, no, you're better off choosing one and acing it and saturating that platform before you move on to the next one.
Yes.
So I always say to people, the way to pick the platform for you is to think of two things. One, which one are you most confident and comfortable with? We've all got a preference. I know, for example, where I hang out, so I use Facebook very much to stay in contact with my friends. I use Instagram for inspiration. I love scrolling through things on Instagram. And from a boredom perspective, I spend hours on TikTok. I mean, sometimes I lose half an hour on TikTok, and I'm like, I didn't have half an hour to lose. I don't know why I even opened the app in the first place. So I know how I use those platforms and which ones I'm most comfortable with. So that's the starting point of choosing the right one for you, because the more confident you are on it, the better job you're going to do.
Yes.
Then you also want to think about, well, where are my audience? So if I was to choose between Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and I was thinking, okay, I'm trying to promote myself to TV executives. Well, I'm almost certain most of them aren't on TikTok. So I can rule that one out. I might like watching TikToks and I might like doing TikToks, but that doesn't matter if my audience aren't there. Facebook, probably quite hard for me to reach those people and target them effectively. They don't necessarily list themselves as executive producers, so the targeting and advertising on there would be quite difficult. Whereas on Instagram, I know there's huge hashtags like TV production and things like that, where actually potentially their programs are going to be, and therefore they're going to be looking at those hashtags and being part of that conversation. So I would probably choose Instagram, and most people go, surely it would be LinkedIn. Well, okay, yes, actually it would be LinkedIn because I love LinkedIn and I know they're on there. But if I was having to choose between those three of my most confident and competent platforms, then I would choose Instagram. So I always say to people, you just want to make sure that you're happy and that your customers are on there, and start small, then grow.
Yes.
Probably the most important. If you take nothing else from this, that would be my number one tip.
Okay. What about with the advertising? What about paid advertising? Do you see that being targeted in the same way?
Absolutely. So I am a massive advocate of social media ads, but on particular platforms. So I'm quite funny about which platforms I will put spend on. And I'll explain that in a second. But my answer to that, I suppose, is if you're willing to pay for a press release, if you're willing to pay to be featured in a magazine or whatever, then why wouldn't you pay on social media?
Yeah, it's logic.
Yeah, like I find it really funny. People are quite willing to spend quite a lot of money on branding their cars, newspaper articles, on really fancy websites. Well, nobody's looking at your website. Unless you've nailed your SEO, of course. But nobody's looking at your website because you've not got any social media to plug it. So why wouldn't you spend money on your social media? And so which adverts I like to use? I really, really like Facebook ads. I think they're super smart. Yeah, I honestly, it's my probably number one platform for advertising.
Okay.
It is much more business to consumer. So if you're business to business, you might want to think about that and whether that will work. Maybe do some test advertising. You can do it for as cheap as a couple of quid. Like, you know, I think this is the other thing. People go, oh, I don't want to waste my money on social media. I'm like, I'm sure you've got a £5. That's like a Costa coffee these days. Maybe 2 Costas. If you can sacrifice 2 Costas, you can advertise on Facebook and reach thousands of people.
Yes.
And the thing with social advertising over traditional is you can see a direct correlation. You can actually send people from that platform to your website without any drop off. Well, obviously there might be drop off in terms of how many people see the ad, but as soon as someone clicks, they're going through to your website. Whereas in print, I have to read your article, think, oh, that's really interesting. I have to remember the name of your business. I have to remember the website, and I have to remember that I want this.
Yes.
And translate that into a website view, a purchase, or whatever it is.
And also, how on earth do you measure it in print as well? It's so difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. So I again, even within TV, it's quite funny. People say to us, oh, no, we don't have budget for ad spend on social. And then I see buses and billboards with the brand all over it. And I'm going, all right, now that probably does have quite a good conversion rate. TV does work quite well with those methods. But you're also going, yeah, but I can actually put an iPlayer link or an ITV Hub link or whatever and send people and get that viewership number up there and then. Yes. For half, well, not even half the cost, probably a tenth of the cost of the side of the bus. So it's not about how much you spend. It's more about the content that you are pushing. So a lot of people say to me as well, like, oh, my post wasn't doing very well. So I put £5 boost on it and it did a lot better. And I go, okay, well, that's good. It's great that it did better, obviously. Yeah. But to me, if a post didn't do well organically, so if your fans didn't think the content was that great and or good enough to like and comment on, then sending it to more people, it's just a waste of your money because it's not that good of content. And we have to be quite harsh on it. I mean, I do it. I post things in our business and I'm like, oh, this is dead good. And I put it out there and then like tanks and I'm like, oh. Yeah, exactly. So we can all get it wrong. Don't beat yourself up if you put something out there and it flops. Sometimes you have to just tweak and play around and figure it out. But then if I do something and it does really well, I go, right, okay, well, this is getting really good organic reach and engagement. Let's put a £5 on that. And just keep snowballing that success. So just sending it to more eyeballs isn't the aim of the game. The aim of the game is to get more engagement and link clicks, probably, if you're a traditional website. So, for me, I'm like I said, big advocate of social advertising, but I think Facebook ads are the best platform. And that also then is how you do your advertising on Instagram. So likewise, I like Instagram ads. I find LinkedIn ads very clunky and not as effective. I did a like-for-like ad, 50 quid on Facebook and 50 quid on LinkedIn recently, and LinkedIn one did nowhere near as well as the Facebook one. And it was a business-to-business sale as well. So it was for a course, and so I don't know, I would just say try it. And, a small budget like that where you can maybe, and often they'll give you a voucher, if it's your first time advertising, if you open up the ads manager on any of these platforms and then abort and go away for a bit, they'll often send you an incentive like
that's a good tip.
Yeah, honestly, I do it all the time. Because obviously as we bring on new clients, we open up a new ad account for them. And as I open it, they'll be like, hey, spend 25 quid and we'll give you 25 quid to spend too. Sort of thing. So you can often get sort of a matched voucher. So yes, something like 50 quid, just test the water. You might have a business that flies off the shelf on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I would hate to say to you, oh, I don't like LinkedIn ads, so don't do them. You know, definitely give it a try. But I do find it a bit more clunky, and I find that sometimes it's not obvious if you've set it to a daily price or a lifetime price. So please keep your eye on the adverts. Don't just set it live and go away. Set it live and check it every 24 hours. Okay.
Yeah. So really what people need to do then is they need to promote their best content, find the things that are working on the channel, and then push those even more.
Absolutely. And my last one, I guess, really would be Twitter ads. A lot of people ask me about Twitter ads. Again, I'm not a huge fan. I don't really like the
one for Twitter for myself. No,
I've not seen the results either. You know, I think a lot of people think that because there's a lot of Twitter conversation, that being part of that conversation is going to be enough. And actually, I don't like the ads. I personally have never clicked on one, and that tells me a lot. If I don't click and buy through Twitter, I shouldn't expect my audience to click and buy through Twitter.
Yes.
You know, I have bought through Instagram. I have bought through Facebook. I have looked at stuff through LinkedIn. I don't know if I've ever bought anything from LinkedIn, but I have certainly clicked on ads on LinkedIn.
Yeah. What about the rise of the influencers and micro influencers even these days? Have you actually worked with any influencers?
Yes, we've done a few campaigns. Actually, funnily enough, I've done a few for TV, but more for product-based businesses. So we also work within children's. So we get obviously a lot more like merchandise things and stuff that we have to push through children's than we do on, say, actually there's some merchandise on like Poldark and things like that. But anyway, so we've worked with several different ones. We've worked with some large ones, and we've worked with what I would deem a sort of micro influencer. I categorize that as anyone with 1,000 to 3,000 followers. Different sites will tell you different things, but to me, that's a kind of micro influencer size. And I would say going for the smaller and lots more of them is far better than going for a biggie. Okay. So definitely from a spend and return perspective, definitely, but also from an engagement perspective. Yes. So if I follow, I don't know, let's pick some Kylie Minogue. I don't know where that came from. I follow Kylie Minogue on Instagram, but I also follow Kate Jones, who lives down the street, bakes cakes. Okay. Yes. If Kate does a post and it seems quite heartfelt and honest and open and, you know, about a product or something, I'm far more likely to stop and read and engage with that than Kylie Minogue talking about a purse or whatever it is, because there's an automatic assumption: one, they're being paid and they're, you know, just doing it for the money, and two, I don't relate to Kylie Minogue on any level, right? Yeah. So just because she's got a handbag that it might be off the high street, she's still not. She's not accessible to me, so I don't feel like the products are as accessible. Yeah.
And also, as well as a small business, then people are going to be that more engaged with the micro influencers, the smaller people as well. So I suppose if you can get aligned with the right one, then I can see how that would work.
Definitely, and like I say, that they're often a lot more affordable. Sometimes they'll just do it for the product itself. Yeah. You know, which is great, and it's, you know, you want to be choosing people that want to do that, because again, that genuine engagement from them is what's going to sell your product. If someone's just taking it off you and taking 50 quid, the passion behind that post is going to be lacking. Yeah. You know? Whereas if I was approached by a brand and I really liked the brand, I'd be so made up, you know, like I really like fitness stuff. So if someone sent me fitness gear for free, I'd be all over Instagram being like, look at me and my free, you know, gym sharks or whatever. I would absolutely love that. And they would get far more value out of me posting that than they would paying somebody to stand and pose around a bit, basically. Yeah. So, absolutely a fan of the influencer marketing side. I just think doing it smartly and looking at the micro side of it is better.
So how would any of the small businesses actually try to find those kind of micro influencers? Where would you go to start that? Or would you just approach people directly?
I approach people directly. There are a few websites and things that you can use, but again, quite often they're looking for bigger numbers. So they're looking for bums on seats. So they're looking for accounts with, you know, tens of thousands of followers, whereas I'm looking for that sort of 1,000 to 3,000. So I often just do my own research. I look at the people that are following our accounts as well. That's often a good indicator. If they're really interested in the brand, they're going to be following us already. They might have shared a story about us. They might have commented on a post. And I just make a note. If I see somebody that likes a product or brand, I'm like, okay, no, right. Jo talks about this a lot. Going to write her down. Next time we've got a promotion, I reach out and say, hey, Jo, we see that you comment a lot on our brand. How would you feel about us sending you some free product and talking about it? And 99% of the time, they're just, oh my God. Yeah, they're absolutely thrilled. And it's so, and that's super nice as well. As a social media manager, to be able to give back to your community and be like, I've acknowledged, I've seen what you do for us. Let me do something for you too. And you know,
yeah, and I suppose that fuels the excitement then as well, so they're more likely to get the message across and deliver what you need. So
exactly.
yeah, it's good. The other thing I was going to ask you about is, do you need a different approach for business to business or business to consumer? How would you actually set things up differently in terms of the social media marketing?
So there's probably two key things that I would look at for that. One being which platform you start on, obviously. So if, as I said before, thinking about your consumer, you want to be picking a platform that suits you, but you also need to make sure your audience are there. Now, pretty much everyone's on Facebook and pretty much everyone's on LinkedIn if they're a professional, you know. So you often see people trying to promote business to business on Facebook because they're like, well, most people are in business or in some way related to a business or whatever. But to me, I always use the analogy of imagine being in a bar. Well, remember those days? Remember we used to be able to go out
once upon a time,
sit in a bar. But let's cast our minds back and think about times when we were allowed in a bar. If I'm in a bar and I'm talking to my friend and I'm relaxed, I'm having a drink and I'm just in my social environment, and somebody walked over to me from across the room and said, are you an MD? And I go, yes, I am. And they go, great, I've got this amazing CRM software that's going to solve all your problems. Here's my business card. I'd be like, what on earth are you doing? I'd probably tear up the card. I'd be like, go away. Whereas if I was in a business setting, like maybe, let's say like a Regis Centre or something like that, and I'm sitting down having a coffee, a work-related thought or meeting, and somebody walked over and said, I'm really sorry, I overheard you. Are you an MD and looking for CRM software? And I go, yes, I am. Actually, I've got this perfect solution. I'd be much more open to that conversation. So think of your platforms as social spaces. That's what they are, social media. And Facebook is your friends. So if I'm sitting talking to my friends, I don't necessarily want business to business stuff rammed down my throat. Whereas during the work day, I tend to be on LinkedIn. I don't tend to check my LinkedIn massively out of hours. I mean, I'm a bit odd. I do check it on a Saturday, but tends to be sort of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. If I'm checking my LinkedIn and I'm in work and I'm in a work frame of mind and somebody promotes something to me, I go, oh yeah, that does remind me, I do need that. So it's a bit of psychology really, as much as it is anything. Now, I'm not saying that business cannot succeed on Facebook, because I've seen some amazing stuff done there. Just think about your tone and your message and what you're asking of the audience and where their headspace is in that moment. And that's just as important.
Yeah. And then I suppose the same in reverse with business to consumer. If you're actually targeting the consumer, it's actually a matter of getting them at the right time in the right right.
I've just got to work and I'm like set out. You know, everybody starts the day with good intentions, don't we? We all sit down at 9 o'clock and think, right, here's my to-do list for the day. I'm going to crack on with this and I'm going to ace the day. By about noon, that sort of positivity is starting to probably seep out a bit. So in the afternoons, when I might be trying to kill some time and I might be sitting at work bored out of my mind, then promoting something for my, you know, evening meal, weekend plans, etc., I'm going to be quite happy for the distraction. So again, I'm not saying never promote to people when they're at work, but just be mindful of
getting them at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. Strike whilst the iron's hot.
Yes. So where do you start then, Jo? If you've got a new client that comes, and how do you actually start with creating a social media strategy as such? What would you say would be the The bones of it.
The bones of it. So I always boil this down to the basics. Okay, so always think about who you're talking to. So who's your target market? Where are they? So that's your platform decision. What are they interested in? Do they prefer video? Do they prefer images? Do they prefer infographics? Whatever. So who, what, where, when are they online? I've got to go through my thing now. It's like who, what, where, when. Why are you doing it? So what's your call to action? Are you just promoting yourself for brand awareness? Then don't put a link to your website. Talk on that platform and stay on that platform. But if your why is traffic for sales, then you need to put a link and you need to be clear that's what you're asking of people. So don't bury a link in a post that says, say something like, we're doing business advice, the CRM software, let's go for that. If they do something like, happy Monday, who else is feeling get up and go today, and then put a link to their website.
Yeah, it means nothing. Yeah.
It doesn't work, right? So the post is fine, but don't put the link.
Yeah.
Whereas if they did, it's Monday, time to nail your CRM. We've got the solution for you. Head over to our website and start the week as you need to go on.
Yeah.
Oh, I know exactly what I have to do. I have to click that link, right? So that's your why. And then how are you going to do it? So set aside a process, and you have to dedicate time to this. Social media does take time.
Yes.
If you're going to do it right and you're going to do it well, and which if you're not going to do it right, you're not going to do it well, don't bother, because it's not going to work. You're definitely wasting your time.
Do you think it is something then that small business owners can really do for themselves?
I think they're best placed to do it for themselves.
Okay.
Which I'm not doing myself our work, but I'm doing people our work. I'm saying that. But actually, you know your business best. You know your customers best. You know where you are, when you're there. You can grab a quick picture. You could, the kind of immediacy and that passion comes from you. I can try my hardest, but I'm never going to sound like you. I'm never going to be with you at all times, capturing those moments and taking good pictures and whatever else. So for me, it absolutely should come from the business owner.
Yes.
But, or the business, someone within the business, but it's about prioritizing the time. So I always say to people, what happens with social is if you don't have that process in place, it's always the thing that you just push back as well. So I set aside an hour on Friday, and then I'm pushed for time. The client wants something. What am I going to do? Am I going to do the client work, or am I going to do my social media?
I think this is the danger, isn't it? Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to push the client side of things first. So it's about being realistic about when you can do it and how much of it you can do. So thinking to myself, right, okay. So I know when I first started out in business, for example, I used to do it on a Sunday night, just an hour, once a week. That was it, on a Sunday night, because I knew I wasn't going to have client stuff to do on a Sunday night. Now, some people are like, oh, you shouldn't be working on Sunday. It's my own business and I wanted to grow it. I don't mind working on a Sunday night. Yeah. So I'd sit down and I'd open up. I'm old school. Let me show you this. This makes people laugh. So I work in digital. My whole life is digital.
And you've got a diary. Oh, love it.
Diary. I have to write. If I don't write it down, it doesn't happen. Yeah. So I would get out my diary. I would look up my week and think, okay, so on Friday, I'm going to be talking to Steve about social media. Great. I can plan that content now. I don't have to wait for Friday for that to happen. So I would then schedule up, maybe using Hootsuite or whatever software. Buffer's a good one as well if anyone's looking for one. I go to the platform and I go, right, Friday in the morning, I'm going to be talking to Steve. So I'm going to write something like, oh, great interview with Steve this morning. Thank you so much for having me. Can't wait to see the video. If anybody hasn't heard of Steve yet, please head over to his YouTube channel. Here it is. Right? That's all I need to do. So, and you can plan that whole week in an hour, I promise.
Yes.
And if there is an opportunity to say, for example, I do maybe 3 or 4 posts like that pre-scheduled, but then you want to leave gaps as well where you think, no, I am going to be going for a walk on that day. So I'm going to wait and I'm going to
so you can drop something particular in that happens on that day, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll get a nice photo of me and that client having a coffee meeting or whatever. There's certain things that you will save, but you'll know that you're saving it.
Yes.
You've already made the mental plan to do it. I think preparation is the number one thing for success on social. If you're not prepared, it's not going to happen.
Yes.
And the more panicked it is, the worse the copy, the worse the call to action, the worse everything slips. The creative, you go, oh, that'll do, instead of spending the time to actually make it, nice. So preparation.
I think for me, I mean, I'm a great fan of freelancers and outside agencies anyway. The way that a lot of small business is these days, I think once you get to a certain size and certain success, as a snowball starts to build, then I think that's the time really to be looking for an outside agent, third party.
I'll be totally honest. We use a freelancer to do our social media.
Right, yeah.
Okay, because we don't have the time. We're doing it for so many. I mean, we run something in the region of 80 handles at any one moment. Right. So that's 80 things we have to log into every single day.
Yeah.
And check and have conversations and be the right tone of voice, be the right person for. By the time it comes to the end of the day, I don't want to post. Yeah, exactly. And also, we know from a business perspective that it's quite ironic. I don't think we have, there might have been the odd one, but we don't get business from social media.
Okay.
Because if you need my help, you're probably not on social media.
Right.
Or you're using it, like for TV, for example. It works in that it backs up what we do, but they're large contracts. Someone's not going to just drop into my Twitter and be like, oh, hey, Joe, I saw you did this program. Here's, massive budget to work on our program.
Yeah.
So it's about that relationship building. So it works from a brand building perspective for us, but it doesn't work from a direct sale, head to our website and buy. It's just never going to work.
Yes.
So we made the decision to start working with a freelancer. She was working within our agency for a bit anyway, so she knows the business, she knows what we do, she knows our clients.
Yep.
And I just said, look, you come up with the plan and I'll put the SMMS tone to it. So she just sends me a plan on a Friday. She says, right, this is your week coming up. Have I missed anything you want me to change or make? And I go, yeah, can we have an image with that? Could we get an infographic created for this? Oh, I've forgotten to tell you that I'm doing X, Y, and Z, so maybe let's put something in here. And then she does the doing again, but it's overseen by us. It's our tone, it's our messaging.
Yes.
She just does the legwork for me, and that's what, sometimes that's what you need.
Well, that's really interesting because I find very much the same myself, that you can do it to a certain extent, but I think there has got to be a time where you see it as basically as any other part of the business. So if you've got I don't know, accounts issues, then you're going to go to your bookkeeper and get your bookkeeper or accountant to sort it out.
Exactly.
Not going to sit there for hours and hours and hours struggling over, I don't know, this month's management accounts or creating a cash flow forecast or whatever else. If you can actually pass that out to somebody else and let them do it, it's still all about growing the business. So
I always say to people, you're in business because you know that you're the best at providing the solution on whatever topic that is. So you're good at something, and that's what you're trying, selling to your clients. So your skill set can't be everything. You can't be the world's best bookkeeper, the world's best this, the world's best that. It's impossible. So why not find people whose their business is being exceptional in the thing that you're not?
Yes.
I don't see the harm in it at all. As I said before, I think you're best placed to kind of get that passion across. You're on the ground, you've got the imagery, you've got all that ability and access. That doesn't mean you couldn't use a freelance to help with your prep work and the planning, or have them actually ultimately press the green light on your content. So you could have a WhatsApp group, for example. You could just send them a picture and be like, I'm out, I'm here, I'm with this person. Can you make it sound nice?
Sound interesting.
Make it sound interesting, yeah. So they do the legwork, but ultimately you're kind of across the messaging and across the material, definitely.
Yes, yeah, that's great, Joe. If you could give the viewers just one tip about how to be successful with their own social media marketing, what would that be?
Be really, really critical on yourself. And I'm not normally like that. I normally say, give yourself a break. I'm like, you know what, we've got enough things on our plate. But what I mean by that is when you're looking at the content, you're about to hit post, really look at it and think, if I knew nothing about this business and I wasn't so close to it, would I think that was an interesting image? Would I think it's the best quality? Would I understand what it does? Would I be willing to share that on my feed if I didn't know this business? And if at any point you go, maybe, no, whatever, then it's not right to post it. It's all about quality. And I see some shoddy social media. Okay.
Really?
It's like, oh my God, it pains me. I'm like, you've just wasted your time as well. So think about your time. Your time is money. And if it isn't the best piece of work going out, you may as well have just lost that money. You may as well have gone outside and thrown 50 quid in the air and, you know, left it. So look at it and think, right, well, what's not working for me? Can I amend that? Can I make it better? And if you're not a content creator, which a lot of us aren't, you know, I always say this, I run social media accounts, but I don't make the content. I've got teams of people that do that for me because I know I don't have that eye. I can make something okay, but I can't make it exceptional. So I hire people to do that for me. And I send them and I go, I've got an idea. I know what I want-ish in my head and it should look a bit like this. And they go, no problem, leave it with me. And then they send me back this beautiful thing. And I'm like, that's what I meant. So yeah, just pause and think about the quality of your content, because if it's pixelated, if you're using Instagram and you've got a wide image and you haven't clicked that tiny button, it's going to cut off most of your image and there might be a bit of text on it and stuff, and anything like that is just going to lose you engagement. And the more frequently you lose engagement, the less you will reach in the future. So what I mean by that is when you do a post, it goes out to X amount of people on the ones with a strong algorithm like Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. So it goes out to X amount of people. And if out that X amount of people, nobody engages with it, next time it goes, well, I'm not going to send it to as many people because last time Joe posted it was rubbish. So we'll send it to a few less people for it. Okay. And so every time you send out rubbish, you're actually reducing the amount of people that are seeing your rubbish. Good in some respects. But getting back up is incredibly hard. So you're only shooting yourself in the foot. If you're putting something out that you're not 100% about, don't do it.
Yeah, interesting.
There are so many tools and people out there like Fiverr, Canva, People Per Hour, all those, Odesk, all those platforms. You know, there are freelancers whose job is to do this for you and to make amazing content. So you can get it for quite cheap as well. You can get it for like a Fiverr, especially if you brief the person properly.
Yes.
And that's a lot cheaper than spending an hour struggling with it yourself, because that's an hour you're not working on a client thing, right?
Wise words indeed. Okay, thank you very much, Jo. I hope you'll come back another time to elaborate on the various different platforms and say a bit more about how to weigh up what might suit each type of business. That'd be great if you'd like to come back again. Thanks again for your time, Jo. Everyone, please remember to show best appreciation to Jo by liking this video. If you don't particularly like it, then you can always comment and let me know. But hopefully you'll like it, and I'd like to pass on that appreciation to Jo. She has got her own YouTube channel, so make sure to check out Jo Booth SMMS on YouTube as well. And of course, if you're in the market for a professional social media manager, contact Jo directly. I'm sure she'll be pleased to hear from you. Okay, that's all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you very much, Jo.
Thank you, Steve. Bye.
Bye.